Hello my friends, in this video we're going to take a look at how to get started playing a ranger in Ashes of Creation. Now this is a very deep game, there are a bunch of aspects of it beyond just the combat, however combat is still a huge part of the game regardless of how you like to play it. So if you want to be effective in virtually any role, knowing how to fight on your chosen class is crucial. So the focus of this video is going to be exclusively on early ranger combat from levels 1 through 10 so you can eliminate enemies quickly with the most powerful ability rotation available to you. Keep in mind, in general, this is a group-oriented game, hence the MMO. However, this guide is going to be focused on how to be effective leveling a ranger completely solo. If you're able to solo mobs effectively at your level at this phase of the game, you will absolutely be able to carry your group's DPS as well. I'll be following this guide up with a more advanced ranger guide taking us into deeper levels as we get into the Harbinger update on December 11th, and I'll also be creating new beginners guides for the other classes as well. So if you don't want to miss that stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you find this video useful, don't forget to like, comment, and share it, as those things really help me out by letting the algorithm push it to more people. All right, with that, let's dive right in. So just like a lot of MMOs you may be familiar with, World of Warcraft, etc., this is a tab targeting combat system, and you will have a significant ability rotation. We can see the Ranger skill tree outlined here. If anything is in range, I can go ahead and tab target it, and there's no aiming in this game. It's very much just like you would expect from an MMORPG, a pretty in-depth ability rotation. However, there is one big main difference that makes the combat significantly different, and that is the Souls-like element. So in addition to our normal health and mana, we also have a stamina bar. With that stamina bar, we can do some cool things. We can dodge, we can sprint, and we can also block. You'll see that I've changed my keybinds from the default, but these abilities, all three of these sort of stamina consuming Souls-like abilities, are down here bottom left of your hotbar. Right under that, I can see my weapon and its auto attack. And another thing that's different is you can have two weapons equipped at any given time. So think New World. One's going to be your melee weapon setup. One is going to be your ranged weapon setup. You can set a hotkey to quickly swap between those anytime during combat. Now, if I hover my auto attack right here, which I have set to mouse 5, I can see the exact details of the weapon I have on and its auto attack combo. So this is showing exactly what my short bow does for every part of the auto attack. We can see it's a 5-hit sequence. On the 5th hit, we always get this finisher to apply. Depending on certain abilities and setups, this will trigger certain effects. So every 5th hit, a finisher always happens. We also have an extra chance on our 5th hit at this deadly finisher. So along with our normal class skill tree here with our ability rotation, we also have weapon skill trees. So here is the sword skill tree. Let's take a look at the bow skill tree. You can see here, in addition to the finisher, there's a 45% chance to trigger a deadly finisher. The deadly finisher is what I select here for my very first point in my weapon skill tree. Starting out for our bow, we are going to want to have it on bleed. However, once we're able to unlock our enhanced armament barbs, which we will get to talking about, we're going to want to switch our bleed finisher over to snare. We're going to get some extra damage value from this penetration. Then we're going to give ourselves 20% more chance to proc this deadly finisher. So now with these points, we can see if we hover our bow, there's a 45% chance on the 5th attack to trigger this snare, and the snare is going to slow movement speed. We can see the same exact behavior if I switch to my sword, showing a 5-hit combo with a finisher. And if we look at our sword tree, there's a couple different options. I have mine on wound right now for the anti-heal. I think honestly any of these could work. So as of right now, you automatically start with a bow. I highly recommend picking up a one-handed sword and shield right there nearby where you start in the starting area, so that you can have the option to block with a little bit more value, and so you can melee cleave multiple mobs with your auto attack when they're on you. For Ranger specifically, because of the amount we are dodging and the value we get from the space of our dodge, I highly recommend going all the way up the middle of the tree, which is basically just a bunch of extra value on our dodge mechanic, ending with a 50% increased dodge distance. Okay, so now let's take a look at the progression of the abilities starting from level 1. So the sort of inherent class mechanic of Ranger that we want to pay attention to is this thing called focus. We can see here, Ranger abilities deal up to 15% additional damage proportionate to how much focus is stored. We can see if I look top left here, this green bar that fills up from bottom to top signifies my focus. If I mouse it, you can see I have 100 out of 100 right now. Consumes focus proportionate to the amount of damage that was dealt. So the more focus you have, the more additional damage you're going to deal. And then the more additional damage you deal, the more focus it will consume. You automatically regenerate 3 focus per second, and then weapon combo finishers restore 10 focus on hit. So that 5th attack of our sword or the 5th attack of our bow we were looking at is going to give us some focus back. Every ability we actually use is going to consume focus and boost its damage based on how much focus we have. So our starting ability that we're gonna have right at level 1 is Salvo. This basically shoots a quick arrow. It has up to 6 charges. You can do it 6 times in a row. And then we can also see that weapon combo finishers restore 1 charge of this ability as well. So as we're auto attacking, when we get to that last one in the chain, we're gonna get a shot of Salvo back. Now the other kind of big mechanic of hunters that they start with at the beginning are these hunts. So we're only going to be concerned at the beginning here with this first hunt of the Raven that we get as part of our passive. And this comes along with this Mark Prey ability. So the way this works is you have this hunt, and this is a buff you keep on yourself. So you see, I just turned it off. If I hit 2, now I have this persistent hunt of the Raven buff on. Always while this is on, I have 10% increased accuracy, okay? So you want to always have at least 1 hunt active at any given time, even if you're not using the Mark Prey. But the Mark Prey is an ability, as we can see here, that comes along with this hunt ability. What Mark Prey lets you do is use your hunt actively. So along with this passive effect of 10% accuracy, when I mark my prey, just like this, it's going to send the bird and it's going to reduce their evasion by 25%. So now I have a higher chance to hit. As soon as this expires, it's going to come back to me for another 7 seconds, and it's going to give me 15% increased evasion. So the main concern with this is that it has a decent mana cost. But if you're fighting anything relatively difficult, this is a great thing to just throw out at the very beginning of the fight, because it's going to make it so at the beginning of the fight, you have a higher chance to hit the enemy. And then as the enemy is closing the gap on you and starts to attack you, you are going to benefit from the increased evasion yourself. And so now I get the mark back. Now I have 15% evasion on this buff. So it's just basically an extra bit of accuracy evasion to add into your combo. So we can see here, if I use Salvo, it's those 6 shots we were just talking about. And now we can see anytime I hit the 5th shot, it's going to give me a charge back. See how I just got more charges right there? So pretty quickly, if you're auto attacking, you're all the way back up to 6 Salvo shots. So at the beginning, at level 1, you're just going to want to be like opening up from a range, ripping your Salvo. As soon as you get back up to 6 shots, rip it again. If you're facing something harder, use your mark so that it has less of a chance to dodge during this first part, and then you have a better chance to dodge during the second part. So when we hit level 2 with our first ability point, we are going to grab Power Shot. And Power Shot is basically the only ability so far that does not consume your focus. In fact, it boosts your focus. So we can see it generates focus and does not consume it to deal extra damage. So Power Shot is going to be a pretty essential part of you keeping high focus to really leverage max damage on the other abilities as you're unlocking them. So here at level 2, we're just going to open with Power Shot. The thing about Power Shot that's kind of interesting is it has a bit of a delay after you cast it where you can't cast anything else. There's like an animation lockout. So check this out. If I cast Power Shot and then I spam Salvo, spamming it, look how long it takes me to cast Salvo, okay? So Power Shot is unique like this, where it has this exceptionally long kind of window at the end. What we can do is we can dodge cancel that. So see how if I dodge and then shoot, I can Salvo much faster than if I just sit there and wait? That's because we can essentially dodge cancel the end of the Power Shot animation and do something else sooner. And so especially like a melee guy like this, if I Power Shot, I almost always want to dodge backward, because we can see I'm getting most of that stamina back by the time they even reach me anyways. It's letting me Salvo sooner, and I'm also getting more space when I dodge backward, right? So try to always follow Power Shot with a dodge back. Not completely necessary, but just a little way to maximize your DPS by getting a little more throughput. So now here at level 3, we're actually going to take something that we're going to end up dropping later once we get our next version of Enhanced Armament. But starting off at level 3, I highly recommend grabbing the Weight Armament. And this is essentially going to give you this ability where you can use it one time when you log in, and it's going to permanently enhance your finishers, extended finishers, your Salvo ability that we were just looking at, or the Scattershot ability we're going to get very soon to make enemies snared. Snared is what reduces their move speed. So this is just a great way for a Ranger to keep early space between mobs and continue kiting backward. Once we have this, we really want our bow to be opposite of it, right? Because now we're always getting the snare. So we're going to want to start our bow tree with the bleed. And then basically, once we hit a little higher level, we're going to be able to switch our snare armament to the bleed armament. And then at that point, we are going to switch our bow back from bleed over to snare. But early levels, start with the bow on bleed. use this enhanced armament weight. So now we have guaranteed snare with 45% chance for bleed. And then once we get the bleed armament, we can switch them around. In addition, at level 3, we also get camouflage. So camouflage is almost like a worse version of the rogue stealth. The best thing about it is you can use it to drop combat. And it's not going to work if you get like shot right after you do it. But as long as you time it right, like let's say I accidentally aggro this healer and this archer at the same time, and I'm like, oh man, I can't do this. Basically, as long as you're not getting hit or you don't take damage directly, you can use this to just completely drop combat. So I'm gonna like wait for an arrow to hit me or until I have the range. And we can see I even got hit there, but it still worked. See how combat reset and now I can eat. Unlike the rogue, we cannot sit down and regen or use rations while we're camouflaged. Either of those things will cancel it. The other cool thing about it, though, is we can like open up from stealth. So we can actually channel abilities while we're stealth. And then as soon as the attack actually goes through is when it gets canceled. So I can like charge my power shot. I'll stay stealthed until it actually goes off. And that's most important once we get our snipe, because that's like a pretty long drawback to open fights. But basically the main way I've been using it is a way to reset combat when stuff's not looking good. You can see right there, the other thing that we want to do in combat that's important is for big attacks like the leap strike from this guy, you can just sidestep the overhead attack, but like the leap strike, the fireball from the mages, the kill shot from the archers, you want to use your dodge to try to iframe that attack. Now, it's not a true iframe, but if you successfully do it, it's going to give you these bonuses from the stam tree, and it's also going to just give you a much higher percent chance to evade. So you can have situations where you time your dodge perfectly and you still get hit. Okay, so now heading into level 4, grabbing our third ability, we are going to get Scattershot. And Scattershot, in my opinion, gets significantly better once you can get this concentrated Scattershot, but just at a base level, it's going to shoot this nice kind of spread AoE. It is basically instant cast, so it's some nice instant extra AoE damage. So when we're taking a look at our combo now, we want to open with a power shot like we were just looking at. We want to dodge into our salvo like we were doing before, and then we just want to pop our scatter shot for now. Next level, we're going to be able to charge it into a little more powerful version. Okay, so with our 4th skill point, once we're at level 5, we are going to grab concentrated scatter shot. And this basically makes it feel like a better ability, IMO. It basically turns it into a pen shot, and it's pretty satisfying. The hitbox is a little weird sometimes. I think there's some kind of verticality to it, but it basically goes from just tapping it to being able to hold it and get this nice kind of like focused penetration shot that does significantly more damage. So now, just like before, we're opening with a power shot. We're gonna dodge cancel the end into a salvo, and now right after our salvo, we can go into a big fat scatter shot. And then just auto attack, let our finishers go through until our power shot's back up. Power shot, dodge, salvo will be back to full, scatter shot. Okay, so those are our first 4 ability points at level 5. Once we hit level 6 and get our 5th ability point, basically what we are going to do is we are going to take headshot, and that's going to give us a 4th one down here, and that's going to let us take out armament weight and put it into barbs, just like this. So here at level 6 is where we make the swap from weight to barbs. So now instead of our stuff guaranteed snaring, it's going to guarantee bleed. As soon as we do that, just like we were talking about before, we want to switch our bow from the bleed back over to the snare. Because we're already getting the guaranteed bleed here, we want to use the slow now from the 45% chance of our 5th shot. Boom, so now we have our power shot, we have our upgraded scatter shot, we have our automatic bleed, and now we get to add headshot into the mix. Think of headshot as like a more generous execute. It's like basically once they're below half health, this is going to do the most value. So because of that, it's going to come basically at the back end of our combo. So opening up with our power shot still, dodge into our salvo. The one thing about dodging backwards is sometimes you can range yourself like we saw right there, right? Go into the scatter shot. And then as soon as he's below half, we can go for our headshot, and that's going to apply wounded stacks. 1 wounded stack for every 25% health missing. We're not going to get it for a little bit, but this ability is going to get significantly better when we can take mortal headshot, and it's really going to pump. Now we are moving into level 7 with our 6th point. Here we are going to grab Snipe. Snipe, just a wicked cool ability, probably one of my favorite Ranger abilities, and this becomes our new open. So essentially every time we're starting a fight, this has a 20-second cooldown. So depending on how fast you're killing stuff, this is usually up at the beginning of a fight. Sometimes you have to wait a few seconds if you're really pumping. When you start getting really online, you're actually going to start rotating snipe with scattershot to open because you're going to be killing stuff much quicker than 20 seconds. But for now, once you have snipe online, you pretty much always want to use snipe exclusively to start combat. It's such a long cast time that you really don't want to use it mid-combat. And then as soon as you snipe, you want to follow that with a power shot. You still want to dodge cancel the animation at the end of the power shot. Then we salvo, then we can go into our scatter shots, and then once they're below half health, we can start ripping our headshot as well. Okay, so from here at level 8 with our 7th skill point, we are going to grab Barrage. And Barrage pairs really nicely with Barbs because we can see each hit against bleeding targets reduces the cooldown of this ability by 0.1 second, and then double this bonus against hemorrhaging targets. We don't have stuff hemorrhaging yet, but we will later. Because of our armament Barbs, every time we salvo, it's a guaranteed bleed, right? So we almost always want to follow salvo with Barrage, because then this is going to benefit from the cooldown reduction of the target being bled. So the combo now becomes open up for stealth if you're feeling like a gangster. Let's start with a snipe. The other thing I do with snipe is cue my auto attack. You want a power shot, dodge it, salvo. He's bleeding, so primed for my barrage. As soon as I barrage, go into my scatter shot. Very soon he's going to be below half health, and I can go for my first headshot. Back into my rotation, starting with power shot, dodge cancel, salvo, barrage, pen shot, scatter shot. And we're blasting, baby. You notice the other thing I do is I'm constantly moving backward. Same thing with Mage. Because we can move while we're casting, and because hitboxes are like physically based, we saw right there, he missed his bash because I actually outranged him simply because I'm holding S, strafing backwards. So similar to what we were looking at for Mage, you basically on Ranger almost always want to be holding S, kiting backward, no matter what you are doing. So now we are level 9 with our 8th skill point. We are going to take Hastening Snipe. And the way we're using snipe setup with salvo barrage, I've tried a bunch of different things for this point. I really like this Hastening Snipe. It feels really good because we basically are able to get out our power shot, our salvo, and our full barrage with that increased attack speed. And it ends up just feeling really, really nice. So after our snipe open, we should get this nice big increase to attack speed. We're going to do the same thing where we follow it with a power shot, dodge salvo. See how much faster my salvo comes out? My barrage comes out turbo fast. That's the benefit of that little pass we just grabbed. He's already below half health. I go for my headshot. I would have wanted to dodge, use some stamina to dodge that leap strike. I can sidestep the heavy one that we just saw. And we're right back into our rotation, right? So that's level 9. For level 10, I would recommend grabbing Mortal Headshot, and this is just going to amp the value of your headshot significantly more. The problem with going for other abilities, at least right now, is we're going to be really mana starved. So you're going to find that churning through even just this rotation without grabbing anything else is going to be chunking mana. It's going to start to get a little brutal around like level 6, but as soon as you get level 8 with your bow and you can put in refreshing follow through, it's going to help your mana so much. So be patient with your mana until you're able to get this online. This is going to help you. It's going to help the sustain. It's going to help you just regen mana if you need to just sit there auto attacking stuff. This is basically like the most mana efficient / max DPS rotation that I could find, spending these 9 skill points that are available at level 10. There are other things we're going to want to get later that are definitely good, but for these early levels, for simply just killing stuff as quickly as possible and moving on to the next mob, in my opinion, this is the best setup. The other couple things I forgot to mention for passives, when you hit level 6, you are going to get these thorns. So just like your armament, when you log in, you just want to cast thorns once, right? And both these are going to stay on essentially until you log out or die. We're not dying though, baby. And then the other thing you get at level 8 is Strider. This is just insanely goated. It only lasts 15 minutes though. So unlike these, you're going to want to recast this on yourself every 15 minutes. This is just a 10% move speed buff. OP. All right, now that we have the full combo, let's take a look at putting it all together. So if you want to, you can start out of stealth from camouflage. I recommend holding camouflage in general for the defensive combat reset like we talked about. But if you want to be cool, or if you just did that and you're engaging on a new mob, you can go ahead and pop the camo. Then we want to start at max range. We can see 35 meters is the range of our snipe. In general, we want to try to start about that range away. This guy might line of sight me with this little tree in front of me. But in general, you kind of want to start at about the 35-yard mark to give yourself the most time to kite. Open with snipe. Queue up auto attack while you're sniping. We'll talk about that in a second. Follow a power shot into a dodge to animation cancel the end of that. Into our increased speed salvo, into our increased speed barrage, followed with a fully charged scatter shot. We're going to auto attack till power shot resets. Dodge cancel the end. Salvo. I should have dodged that leaf strike right there. Barrage. Another scatter shot. Now we have our headshot up. We can sidestep that heavy slash. And we're right back into it. The other important thing that's worth bringing up real quick is this auto attack option. And this basically changes based on what character I'm playing. For Ranger, I like auto attack enabled, but I don't like it to come on automatically. So basically what this means is once we hit our auto attack button, it'll stay on until we deselect our target or click it off. But it's not going to automatically activate after ranged ability. I tried it with the ranged ability one, and it was getting super annoying because, like, for instance, if I'm trying to kill like this archer and like I hit power shot way back here and then I like canceled it for some reason, my auto attack is going to be on now. If I accidentally step back in range, it's going to pull that. Or if I tab target this arsonist, it's going to auto shoot the arsonist. And that was getting super annoying. It was like ending up in me over pulling. So I like keeping auto attack on, but I like just starting it manually. And it actually works out perfectly where we can start it manually when we're opening with snipe. So we snipe, we press our auto attack button so that we're queued up to blast here. As soon as our snipe goes off, then we don't have to worry about it. So into our power shot, we see right there, into our salvo, into our increased barrage, scatter shot, headshot, right back into power shot. And the one downside about using your dodge to animation cancel power shot is sometimes you don't have the stamina to dodge a big ability, like I just ate that kill shot. Make sure your thorns and armaments are on, make sure you keep Strider up, make sure once you get regen you keep that up. If something's a little tougher, like let's say I'm a little afraid of this raider because he's like level 10 or something, I would do the same exact combo, except I would just add my marked prey in right as he's like kind of coming up to me. And what that's going to do, it's going to let me miss more right now. And then as soon as it comes off of him onto me, now I have increased evasion. So for the next 7 seconds, I can just soak his attacks a little bit more before I go right back into my combo. And this is the point where you saw after I go through like 3 mobs, I'm out of mana. This is what I was talking about the mana regen. Once we get level 8 bow, we can see every time I get my finisher through, I'm going to get a little chunk of regen. So like I was mentioning earlier, this point in the bow does a lot to let us continue using abilities during combat, even if we're completely because we just have to get our 5th shot through and we have enough to use like 1 more ability. But that's a perfect time to quickly go into consumables. So the first consumable you're always going to want to have on hand is rations, because of how quickly, especially early on, these let you recover health and mana. So in this game, most mobs are going to drop this stuff called glint. You're going to want to combine your glint into bigger glint. You're going to want to sell all your glint to vendors to turn it into coin. When you die, you can drop glint. You cannot drop your coin. So anytime you're in town, you're going to want to turn your glint into coin so you can no longer drop that money value. In my opinion, you're going to want to use that early coin to stock up almost exclusively on rations first. Once you know you have enough rations to work with, I usually head out of town with like 40 to 60, you are going to want to stock up on health salves. Mana salves are optional. If you have extra coin, you can opt into these. But I think more important than mana salves are health salves. These are basically heal over time potions. So if stuff is looking sideways in a fight, you're going to want to use these early. Use one of these early to start that healing over time to give you a chance to either run away or to heal through and win the battle. The only other consumable I recommend getting early that's actually really OP is this fresh salad. This is only if you have enough coin after stocking up on rations and health salves. You want to keep some fresh salad on hand. This is just going to give you straight up 206 more physical power. It'd be like if you got a piece of gear. Oh my God, are they about to do the reset? This is December 1st. It's the last day. What else do I got to talk about? I got to finish this guy right now. So you can eat a salad, big physical power. You buy these. So here's the new Aelan starting point, right? The first gate. I don't know the dwarf gate details, but if you start at this first gate, essentially what you're going to be able to do is buy rations at the vendor here in Lionhold. You're going to be able to buy rations at the vendor here in Samaya's Hope. You're going to be able to buy rations Up here at Past Flame and Formula, this cookhouse is a goated vendor. But right here at Flame and Formula, there's a laboratory vendor that sells your health and mana salves right here. And then up to the right of that, at this cookhouse, you can see I'm up here like by the Highwayman Hills. It's like directly south of me, like just up to the right of the ruins here. This cookhouse sells rations and sells this fresh salad and sells a magic power version of this and sells a defensive version of this. You can only have one on at a time, but these are only like a silver 60 copper a pop. So once you have your kind of rations and health salves stocked up, highly recommend going and snagging some mana salves, or sorry, some fresh salad. Okay, so something I want to mention now is like right after you finish killing a mob, you have like stuff on cooldown, your salvos recharging, your snipes recharging, whatever. What you can do to sneak in a little more XP is just a little bit of gathering. So you're going to have to level your gathering to level 10 to gather anything cool anyways. So this is a great way as you're waiting on cooldowns, like let's say you're waiting 5 extra seconds for your snipe to come up. You just want to grab a tree, grab a flower, grab a rock, anything within range that's kind of just right there. So instead of wasting those 5 seconds just waiting, you're getting a little bit of actual XP for it, and you're also slowly churning up your gathering, so eventually you can actually gather some cool stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention is that at least right now in the game, quests are only really worth it if they're kind of on the way of whatever else you're already doing. In my opinion, finding a good group of mobs to just churn through is going to be faster XP than questing. However, I did hear that they are adding more quests with actual gear options into the game with the Harbinger update on December 11th. So keep your eye out for quests that actually give gear rewards. I think those will be the ones worth focusing on and going out of your way to do. Otherwise, I recommend just finding good spots of mobs right around your level that you can churn through as quickly as possible. The only other thing I will mention is there's a parcel quest, at least right now in the game, you can get right as you're kind of riding into Lionhold here. It's going to have you pick up 6 packages and then deliver to one of these settlements, like kind of further out. Really easy way to do that is just ride south. There's going to be packages along this road here. You just ride along this road as kind of far as you need to till you find your 6 packages. And then as you're coming down here, the turn-in vendor is right here to the right of New Ayla. So if you grab your 6 packages down along this road, keep riding to right here at this intersection, you can turn those packages in for 3 pieces of starter gear. And that right now in the game is the only gear that I know how to get reliably. And I actually haven't even done that in this guy. I think honestly, the starting gear is not too bad because it's high physical defense. All right, here we're gonna do just a quick like summary look at the different skill trees. So here is our ability skill tree at level 10. The only thing I'm missing here is Mortal Headshot, which we would grab at 10. For our weapons, for our bow, like we talked about, we're going to start with the bleed while we have weight armament. As soon as we're able to unlock our barbs armament, we're going to switch this from the bleed over to the snare. We're going to grab 3 in penetration. We're going to grab 2 in chance. And then at level 8 on your bow, you're going to get this refreshing follow through. This is a huge kind of point in your bow where your mana is going to start feeling a lot better. Then we're going to go with more weapon penetration here, increased crit damage here. For our sword, which is going to be much more utility, the main time we want to use our sword in combat, which I didn't really mention, is if stuff gets right on top of us. And it's mainly when there's more than one thing on top of us, because unlike our bow, the auto attack of our sword will cleave multiple things at once. And on top of that, when we have our shield out, we're going to have a little more defensive block value. And you can even use your abilities while your sword and shield are out. So especially early on, when you have multiple mobs on you, I recommend auto attacking like this, and then using your kind of bow abilities as normal as they come up. For sword, if you want to double up on either snare or bleed, you definitely can. Because we're already getting those from other sources, I like to just take the third one, which is wound, which is essentially anti-heal. So it's only really valuable in situations where heals are concerned. Keep in mind, if you're rocking the barbs armament, you're already going to get the bleed from your finisher, so you don't need it. You could either go snare or wound. Snare doesn't make nearly as much sense unless you're trying to get away from him after you use your sword, which is why I've landed on the anti-heal. Again, because this is mainly for utility, we're going to go 3 in the chance of this wound happening. We're going to do a little bit of extra damage here because there's not a great other choice. Then we are going to go ward for the defensive option. If you really want to double up on mana, you could go refreshing here as well. Generally, when I'm using my sword and shield, it's because I'm kind of in defensive mode against 2 mobs that I'm auto attacking. So I like ward combined with this crit evasion, critical hit avoidance, and then increased pen here as well. And then for future points here, we're just extending the duration of these couple effects. Taking a look at our stamina tree, like I mentioned at the beginning, I think the dodge tree in the middle here is extremely valuable for Ranger, especially with the amount we are trying to dodge. big attacks in combat. And we can see this gives us a nice bit of extra distance on our dodge. Mainly, you're going to want to dodge when things are doing their big attack. So, for instance, on the Ranger, it's the Leap Strike. On the Mages, it's the Fireball. On the Archers, it's the Kill Shot. You know, anything that's going to do the most damage is when you want to use your stamina to try to iframe it. But this is basically going to give us stamina back when we do successfully do that. It's also going to give us 15% increased evasion for 3 seconds when we successfully do that. And then this final talent gives us the extra distance. From here, I'm going to try to max out control effects while sprinting and then add more here if I need to until I can get Second Wind, which is also just a very strong ability for regenerating combat after we sprint. You can also use the block if you want. It's not a crazy amount of value, and it does interrupt your weapon finisher, but can be useful for a little bit of damage mitigation, especially because we are rocking the shield. Boom! So that is pretty much it for getting started on a Ranger in Ashes of Creation. I hope that made sense. I hope that was useful for you. I hope this can get you started absolutely shredding stuff on the bow class and put you in a position to solo if you want to, also dominate DPS in groups and give yourself just a really strong rotation to start moving into the mid game. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be doing beginner guides like this for all the classes. I'm also going to be doing more advanced guides as I get deeper into the game after the reset on the December 11th update. If you found this video useful, don't forget to give it a like, a comment. Helps me out so much, letting the algorithm push to more people. But besides that, I just wanted to thank you so much for watching, remind you to take care of yourself and keep blasting. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.